Running a brokerage is hard work, so whether you're focused on building your own sales pipeline, hiring the best agents, leveling up your team's production, or protecting the culture you've built, you're in the right place. Real estate brings the challenges, and we share the solution. Welcome to the show dedicated to broker entrepreneurs. Welcome to the Brokerpreneur Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Brokerpreneur Podcast. I am Dr. Ben Spears, the Doctor of Flow.
Doctor of Flow.
I'm here with the Sasquatch of Recruiting, as always, Matt By.
I was supposed to be Wookiee, but I got the sinuses going on.
Yeah.
There's more Cookie
tired.
Monster than Wookiee Monster.
He's tired. He's just over here yawning. Yeah.
That's just running through the woods, man. That makes you tired.
Well, it's about something else, guys, because recruiting's never boring.
Yeah, I hear you. That's right.
So, Matt, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, so last episode we kind of talked about a couple of, there's four main things that I wanted everybody to kind of keep an eye on. It came from the boot camp, right? So we just finished up a boot camp, and there were some great questions that came out, and those questions all kind of centered around, I kind of pushed them into four topics, right?
Yep.
And so the last episode we talked about it. We talked about two topics. In this episode, we're going to talk about the other two topics. Last episode, if you missed it, we talked about how to actually present what it is, what tools and systems that you can use to present, and then what needs to be in your presentation. We talked about that. So if you missed that one, go back and tune into that one. Today we're going to talk about how to be compelling with what it is that you do, and how to prove your presence. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, you know the routine. Before we get started, wherever you listen to this, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button. It lets the algorithms know that we're doing a good job, and if you're enjoying the content, right?
Right.
If you're not enjoying it, man, don't hit it. That's
right.
Okay. But
hit it 3 times.
Yeah, hit it 3 times. But anyway, guys, we really appreciate that. Know that this Friday, depending on when you're listening to this, maybe you're listening to it Friday morning.
On Friday.
We'll see. Every Friday we do a Brokerpreneur Not So Secret Society. Matt and I are in there live. You can register for that in a link in the description below. But we are there from 12 to 1 Eastern Standard Time every single Friday, talking to brokers, talking to our listeners, answering questions, talking about different topics maybe that we've had on the podcast before that you want a little bit more detail in. It's just our way of making sure that we are providing as much value to all of our listeners as we possibly can. It is free to attend.
We want you to win.
Yeah, we want you to win. It is open to literally any broker on the planet. We do speak English.
Right. So that's up to you.
Yes, that's up to you. That's up to you. We apologize if not. So
Yep.
talked a little bit about presenting. Of course, we're still in that interview process.
Yep.
As a marketer, right? It's one of those things that I've read a lot of books and consumed a tremendous amount of marketing content, and I hear this all the time that, man, when I'm writing something, or when I'm writing copy, or when I'm making a video, or when I'm doing anything, it's like the one thing I'm always worried about is, man, is it boring?
Right.
Right. And that's a little bit, kind of, I'm dovetailing into kind of this first thing that we're talking about, which is, when you're doing this, like whatever you're talking about, whatever this looks like, it has to be compelling, right?
Absolutely. It has to get them to be excited to act.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Now, you want to be engaging as well.
Yeah,
right? So don't just sit there and think that you can tell a story and they're just going to go, oh my gosh, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. That's not what's going to happen, right? So you have to get them to engage in the situation, but it has to be compelling. It has to be, man, if I do what this broker says, it's going to help me win at the level I want to win at.
Yes.
It has to be able to tell that, it has to be able to answer that thought in their head. It has to compel them to say, I need to take this step because I want to have that result, right?
Yep. And is that in like the whole, meaning you don't have to be just compelling once.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of have to be compelling and setting the appointment. You
Right.
got to kind of be compelling. And
Yeah.
I'm just asking. I'm just like,
yeah.
What's that? How's that look like in that process?
Yeah. So it's really tough to be compelling through all of it.
Right. That's why. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you have to find your points and your times, and the best time to do that is when you're talking about what their problem is, right? And the last one we discussed, you got to dig in, you got to figure out what it is that they're worried about.
Yep.
And then once you figure out what it is that they're worried about, if you really want to connect with them, if you want to get in flow with them, then be compelling when you're answering what their biggest worry is.
Yeah.
Focus on helping them understand how to act and what decision to make based on what they said their biggest problem was. That's a big part of when to be compelling. Because you know what you don't want? If you don't care at all about commission split, and I'm really compelling about our commission split, who cares? You don't care, right?
Yeah.
That's actually going to have the opposite effect.
Yep.
That's why we said, again, in the last podcast, that's why we talked a lot about it in boot camp, you have to figure out what it is that the person wants. You have to be able to get to the bottom of helping, even when they don't know.
Yeah.
You have to be able to help them get to the bottom of what it is that they're looking for. And once you help them figure out what it is that they're looking for and they tell you, and you're going to answer that for them, you're going to help them understand that what you do is going to solve that, that's going to be compelling to them. That's going to be exciting to them. That's going to be something that they're like, okay, wait a minute, maybe there is something here. Maybe there is an answer for me here, right? I'll tell you the other thing about this, if you're not sure whether you're being compelling or not in your interview, here's how you know. Ben started smiling. You guys are listening to this.
Yeah, I'm excited about what's coming.
So I wish I was really good at building it up and blowing smoke, because I dragged this out for about 5 minutes. But let's go ahead and get to it.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, man, if you got a lot of people that are in the friend zone,
yeah,
you're not being compelling.
Yeah.
If you're talking to agents and they really like you and they're really connected with you, but they are not joining your company, the reason why is you're not being compelling, and that means that you're not getting them excited about how you can solve what they said their biggest issue is. Now, that means you're not asking.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you're talking about great stuff. They're like, man, I really see how that could help me out. But I don't need to move.
Yeah.
There's no compelling reason to move.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to figure out what it is that they're looking for, and then you have to be excited about the solution you have to be able to help them accomplish what it is that they're going to accomplish, and you're going to pull people out of the friend zone.
Yeah, we should do an episode all about the friend zone and how to stay out of the friend zone.
That's the music, right? No, maybe not. All right, so I'm no good at that either. I can't make Yeti yells, and I can't do the Friends theme song. What else can I do?
So no one told you. So yeah, stay out of the. So and part of that, right? Part of that not getting in that friend zone, because it's very easy to do.
Oh yeah,
it is super easy to do.
You know why?
I'm going to ask you why in a second after I finish my point.
Mm-hmm. I haven't picked up my water, so you can finish. Sorry,
you have to you have to establish pretty early on. Like, listen, like sure, we're friends at a certain level,
mm-hmm.
but like, I want to work with you,
right,
and it's the same thing from like a sales standpoint. Right, you can be best friends with a buyer or seller or that kind of thing, but they need to know at a certain level, like, man, if you ever want to do a real estate transaction,
mm-hmm.
I'm your guy, right? I do want that to happen,
right? And
because too many of us have gone 3 months and then found out that like our mom sold her house,
somebody else.
Somebody else, like, Mom, did you forget? And
you paid for the course for me.
Yeah, exactly. You paid for the course and sent me packed my lunch every day. And so yeah, tell us, right? How do you stay out of that friend zone?
Yeah, so
it's easy for you, right? Because you don't want to be friends with anybody.
That's true, right? So friend zone's overrated.
Yeah.
So it's pretty simple. You stay out of the friend zone by not going into the friend zone. No, if you're sitting there having a conversation with someone and you know that you want to help them, if a lot of the brokers that are great at running a brokerage are not always awesome at recruiting. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we did that thing with .loop, and that right. That was a big part. That was a big part of that. The reason why is because the people that run the brokerages, that's really what they got in the business for.
Yeah.
Right. So an example would be, if you get into real estate because you love showing houses and you love meeting people and you love talking to people and you love connecting with people, that's all fantastic. But you still got to do the paperwork.
Yeah.
Right. And so you end up doing the paperwork because you have to, not because you love doing it. And so sometimes you're not great at it. Sometimes you learn to be really good at it, but you're not great at it. But where your heart really lies is in showing those houses and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Same thing happens to brokers. They get into recruiting because they know it's good for their business and they know they want to make money, but what do they really like? They really like engaging with the agents and talking to them and helping them grow their business and nurturing. They really like that. They really like that part of it.
Yep.
So when they sit down in that recruiting meeting, what do they start doing? Nurturing. Right? They start taking care of them. They start taking care of the people and start going, you know, I'm really going to help you, and I love that you said this, and I'm going to help with that, and I'm going to make sure that we do this, and oh my gosh, this tool is going to help you do that.
You want my notepad?
That's right. Instead of stepping back and saying, before they go into the meeting, okay, what am I trying to accomplish by this? Mm-hmm. I am truly trying to help this agent, and I'm truly trying to see whether they are a fit for this brokerage or not, whether I'm going to be able to help them. That means I've got to ask those smart questions. That means I've got to have those good conversations with them. That means I have to be intentional with what I'm doing so that I and they can make a decision of whether we want to work together or not. And man, they get in that meeting, and as soon as they get in that meeting, one of a couple of things typically happens. One is, I need to hire this agent.
That's so bad.
Right, that's one. And so then they got commission breath, right?
Yep.
But it's with recruiting. And or the second thing is they get in there and they like, hey, sweetie, I'm really just going to take care of you, right? And they start that whole nurture. They abandon that plan. That's why we talk so much about having a plan. As brokers, you guys would not allow your agents to just go into listing appointments not having a listing presentation.
Yeah, of course.
Why the hell would you go into a recruiting presentation without having a plan?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
So where do you think you're going to end up if you do that? With what you do best. What do you do best? Nurture. What does nurture mean? Let's be friends.
Let's be friends. Yeah, and a lot of times, right, even if we're talking about, you know, ending up there like kind of accidentally, there are brokers out there. Now you guys, you know me, right? You know yourself. Listen. Hey, Dr. Ben here. I hope you're enjoying this episode. If sometimes you feel overloaded or alone when it comes to building your brokerage, I want you to know that we are here for you. There's so much support available to agents, but hardly any dedicated to brokers. I want to personally invite you to schedule a complimentary strategy call where Matt will help you build a 3-step profitability plan that will immediately produce results. This is not a sales pitch. There's no obligation. Simply click the link in the description below. Now let's get back to the show. There's some of you out there who think that recruiting is becoming their friend.
Oh, yeah.
If I just become their friend,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
they'll want to come work with me.
Yep.
Right. So therefore, I want to just like try and go out there and just be like best friends with as many as I can. And, because friends do business together.
Right.
Right. That kind of thing. Whereas if you look at it from the flip side, right, because you recruited me at one point, right, or helped in the recruiting process.
Right.
Man,
you didn't love me.
I didn't want to be your friend.
Right.
Right. I didn't want to be, the broker that I was sitting down with. I didn't want to be his friend.
Right.
Right. I wanted a very solid business relationship.
Right.
And we ended up being friends.
Right.
I ended up being friends with my broker. I ended up being friends with everybody.
Right.
But that just wasn't, at that point in time, man, I was making a business decision as an agent. I wasn't, if I wanted to go like make friends, I'd have been like, hey, let's just go play golf or something like that.
Right.
And so, but as an agent who has been recruited to several times, it has very much been, man, like let's just try and be like best friends. Right. I'm like, hold your horse, yeah, let's be friends.
Right.
But
yeah. But this ain't show friends, it's show business.
Yeah, right now it's show business.
Right.
Right. We're talking about my family's livelihood.
Right. That's exactly correct.
Right. And it's like, so if you find yourself, in that place and, you're constantly just trying to, connect with agents in a friend-only way, you can provide value in a business way.
Absolutely.
Right. You can be nice in a business way.
Absolutely.
But letting them know, like, yeah, I'm going to take care of you. But man, I understand that this is your income, right? This is how you pay the bills,
right? And
I want to help you there, and we'll become friends along the way,
right? Yeah, the broker gets a perfect example of this is brokers a lot of times get stuck on commission split, and it's not about a commission split to an agent. We've talked about that a bunch of times.
Yeah, for sure.
that is their income.
Mm-hmm.
That is their livelihood. That's what you're really talking about. Don't let the conversation be about a split. Let it be about the income that they need in order to live the lifestyle that they want and they want their family to have.
Yeah. And a lot of times the word relationship, because we talk all the time about, man, you need to build relationships with the agents in your market, 100%. Gets confused with friendship.
Become friends. Yep. Like the only relationship you can have is friends.
Yeah.
That ain't it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like us.
Right. 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 Exactly, man. I'm sorry, Ben's mom.
A podcast
I know
ship.
she's listening. I know Ben's mom is listening. I'm sorry.
Man, I don't need no friends. I got my mom. So yeah, we've talked about, kind of, being compelling.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about getting out of that friend zone. I did draw on my notes a big circle. It says friend zone. And I put Matt
on the outside,
like circle trust. But you
know what? Hang on. That's actually a great point.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So the circle of friends is not the circle of trust. That's two different circles.
That is definitely two different circles.
So keep that in mind when you're trying to build relationships and when you're trying to build rapport with agents.
Yeah.
Don't think that they're both the same circle.
Yes.
Even if you believe that with your whole heart, doesn't mean everybody else does.
Yes.
And you're going to be off base if you're not open to looking at it from the perspective that other people are. And there's agents that I did business with that I wasn't that worked for me that I wasn't friends with. Now, this isn't about integrity, because absolutely not. If they don't have the integrity, get your shit and get out.
Yeah,
right?
go home.
Yeah, but whenever we're talking about from a relationship standpoint, we don't have to be friends for me to respect and support what it is that they're doing with their business.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be friends and love me to death to do business and get value from what it is that I offer from a brokerage standpoint, right? Especially when they and you get to a certain size.
Yeah.
Right. So don't confuse the two of those circles, right?
Yeah.
So,
no, absolutely. I love that. So, the second thing or part two of the conversation here is you need to prove your presence.
Absolutely. Yeah. So here's what, we get to talk to a lot of brokers, right? And so I love talking to a lot of brokers. And it's funny, everybody always kind of wants or is envious a little bit of what other people have when it comes to a presence standpoint. Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they got more market share than me, or they've got this, or agents love that because agents believe that is great. And
they have so many followers.
Right. Just so many different things.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's always a little something that people are kind of sometimes envious with.
Yeah.
And I get that. Okay. But from whether it's an online presence or anything else, you have to be confident in your presence, which means you have to be competent in your presence. Mm-hmm. We've talked about this a whole bunch of times. In order to feel confident about something, you have to be competent in it. Competence breeds confidence. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you need to understand what your presence is and what it brings to the table, and you need to be able to articulate that.
Yeah.
Every brokerage has some form of presence that is a great presence. Everyone has it.
Yeah.
There's something that they bring to the table.
Yeah.
Figure out what that is, and decide if that's what you want. If that's not the presence you want, then that's your fault. Change it.
Yeah.
Right? Shift it, change it up, do something different. But if it is what you want, and if it is who you want to be seen as, then absolutely you need to be leveraging the heck out of that, right?
Yep.
So a couple of times in recent Brokerpreneur Not So Secret Societies and in the boot camp, a couple of things that came up that had a consistent theme. When you're talking to recruits in the market, if you are not telling your story well enough, someone else is telling your story.
Absolutely.
And they're painting you, even if it's not accurate, they're painting you as a certain type of brokerage. It came up today, came up in the boot camp, it came up last Friday, the Friday before. You have to be the one that's telling your story. Okay. Now that doesn't mean make a video about, You being a kid and playing with dinosaurs and deciding that you wanted to get in real estate. That's not what I'm saying. It might be, but that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right? When
Typical
I say
story.
Yeah. When I say tell your story, I mean, what are your values? What is it that you support? What is it that you're good at? That has to be on display consistently. And if you can competently talk about that, you will come across confident, and they will believe that that presence that you have that you're talking about is relevant to them and their business.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. I love it. Guys, you got any questions? I don't hear any questions. Yeah, and just to dive in, look just one step deeper there with presence. I love what you said about, and again, I didn't know what was coming. I love what you said about everybody has something. Mm-hmm. And we obviously started absolutely. We definitely started the conversation with everybody's kind of envious of something that someone else has. Right. So I just want to remind everyone out there that one thing that you have, or, you may have multiple things, but that really, attractive presence in some area that you have, just know that
somebody else is jelly.
Somebody else is jelly, right? Somebody else is jealous about that. Give yourself a pat on the back. Yep. And if you don't have anything, man, I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, but you do.
You do.
Yeah, you gotta reach in. You gotta dig inside or look around. And just appreciate that. If you can't display what your presence is, how do you expect anybody to buy into your brokerage? Yeah. How do you expect anybody to be excited to join you? Yeah. If you're not proud of it, if you can't articulate it, if you can't help somebody else feel your passion about that, how the hell is somebody going to join your company?
Yeah, how many times have you done a strategy session where, that broker just didn't know?
Oh man.
Right?
Yeah. So great point. Once you start talking, and we talk about going 3 deep all the time. Yep. Once you go 3 deep, typically it pops up. Yeah. But it's just not top of mind. And what I'm talking about is having it top of mind. You're exactly correct. I say, what do you stand out with? What do you do compared to everyone else? Well, everybody, I love doing this and I love doing that, and I've been in the business this long and everything, but and they're not saying anything that is.
Yeah, everybody kind of does that too, though.
Yeah, and they're not saying anything that makes them stand out. And then you start asking something, then you say something else, and then finally they go, oh yeah, well, I did this, and I was the first one to do that, and that's why all of my agents know how to do this in my office, and that's why we've never been in front of grievance committee, and we've never
and their ears perk up, their eyes get a little bit wider.
Right, and then they start talking passionately.
Exactly.
But you got to dig into that, and that has to be something that you can talk with pride about. Yeah. When you're in your meetings. Yeah. If you don't know what it is, if you don't have if everything's not planned out, it isn't going to come out, and you're not going to be compelling. Yeah. You're not going to be exciting to them, and you're not going to be able to display what it is that you are, what your presence is in the market. You're going to struggle to hire people.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. That's for sure. Well, guys, if any of that sounds like you, or you're just like, what, this sounds pretty cool anyway. In the description, there's a link to a free strategy call with Matt. Man, it's not a sales pitch, we promise. Again, it's just another way for us to help you guys out. Click that link. There's a calendar pops up. Pick a time, and Matt will be more than happy then to kind of talk about your brokerage and help you devise some sort of plan to help you move to the next step. Yep. So, Matt, anything else before I put this bow on?
No, man.
All right. Put your finger right there so I can tie the bow.
All right, here we go.
Guys, if you listen to this on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, any of those platforms, make sure you hit that follow button. If you're watching this on YouTube, what's up?
What's up?
Hit that red subscribe button and that bell right beside it to get notified every time we drop a new episode. Go to brokerpreneurpodcast.com. Check out all the cool things that we have to help you grow your brokerage. We always have some free downloads and things on there. You can also watch or listen to all of our past episodes there as well. We just love doing it because it's part of our passion,
part of what we do, and part of how we roll.
That's exactly right. And for one reason alone,
because we just want to be part of your win.
That's right.